Hey everybody, Drilling in the Name of here, and I am back in that little corner of the Abyss bar you've just never noticed. Today's interpretive cocktail based on a Deep Rock Galactic beer is the Blackreach Blonde. And as promised at the end of my last video, I have both alcoholic and non-alcoholic versions for you. Blackreach Blonde is described as a fruity beer and the choice of partygoers, and when consumed, causes you to break into dance accompanied by color-changing party lights. Now I don't know about you, but when I think of fun party cocktails, I think of the Margarita, an all-time classic consisting of tequila, orange liqueur, and lime juice. For this one, I was really focused on the colorful effects of the Blackreach Blonde, so rather than manipulating the flavor of our cocktail, we're going to be manipulating the appearance with a little magic. And when I say magic, I mean butterfly pea flour. Butterfly pea flour, also known by a scientific name I don't think I'm allowed to repeat on YouTube, is a plant native to Asia that's usually dried and made into an herbal tea. But as you can probably tell by its vibrant blue color, this has also been used for centuries as a natural dye. I really like using natural coloring in my cocktails. Not for any health-conscious reasons, since obviously I'm mixing it with literal poison, but because it adds a nice challenge to the process and forces you to be a little creative. There are tons of ways to naturally dye your cocktails, and butterfly pea flour has become one of the most popular amongst craft cocktail bartenders. Aside from incredibly striking color, it also has very little flavor and doesn't impact the taste of your cocktail. You should be able to find butterfly pea flour on Amazon for less than $10, just be sure to get the dried flour and not the powder. With that in hand, we're going to be making butterfly pea flour syrup, which is incredibly simple, as in you just add it to simple syrup. So pour a cup of sugar and a cup of water into a small saucepan over medium heat and stir until the sugar is completely dissolved, then add a quarter cup of butterfly pea flour. The longer this steeps, the more vibrant the color, so you can just set this aside to cool completely before straining it out. Now that we have our butterfly pea flour syrup, it's time to talk tequila. Now I'm sure more than a few of you groaned at the mention of tequila, but if you're not a fan, I highly recommend giving it another shot. Much like the conversation about vermouth in my Glyphid Sipper video, I think a lot of the negative perception of tequila comes from a bad first experience. And much like vermouth itself, good tequila is great, but bad tequila is really bad. Honestly, even some of the pricier tequilas, in my opinion, aren't that great, so it's important to know that you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a quality bottle. The main thing you want to look for on the label is 100% agave. This indicates the purest form of tequila and tells you that it was made entirely from the sugars of the Blue Weber agave plant. If your bottle doesn't say that, it's a mixto tequila, meaning it was a spirit likely made from about 51% agave and 49% sugarcane. These are usually called gold tequilas and the ones often associated with a bad hangover. So if you had tequila once and didn't like it because it had a harsh flavor and burned on the way down, you likely had a mixto tequila. To put it another way, if you say you don't like pizza because it tastes bad and gives you diarrhea, but then it turns out all you've had is a pizza-flavored Lunchables, we're going to Lou Malnati's. Anyway, there are tons of great tequilas that will run you less than $30, and for this one, I'm going with Cimarron Blanco. This is a really nice, bright, dry, lightly vegetal Blanco that's great for making cocktails. It's also one of the most affordable tequilas you'll find that's free of diffusers and additives. Next, we need an orange liqueur. Cointreau is kind of the quintessential triple sec, but I'm going to be using Grand Gala, which is a really nice and more affordable substitute. And lastly, we need lime juice. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Buy a damn lime and squeeze the damn juice. Store-bought lime juice is incredibly acidic and will ruin your drink. A big fat lime from your grocery store will get you about 2 ounces of lime juice, so grab a few and go for the softer ones. On to our build. Grab your tins, add 2 ounces of tequila, 3/4 of an ounce of triple sec, and 1/2 ounce of butterfly pea flour syrup. Now this part is completely optional, but much in the way you may want to spice up a party with a margarita, you may want to spice up your margarita with some peppers. I really like serrano, so I'm going to add a few slices to my drink and muddle them in. Lastly, we need 1 ounce of lime juice, but stop right there. We need that lime juice separate from these ingredients, so pour that into its own vessel and set it aside. In the meantime, add some ice to your tin and shake. Then strain over some fresh cubes in a tub glass. As you can see, we're left with this beautiful blue but incomplete cocktail. This is where the magic comes in. I will wave my magic wand over my glass and stir as I slowly add our ounce of lime juice. Turning our Blackreach Blonde Margarita from blue to purple before your very eyes. Now of course the magic here is really just science. It turns out there's a natural compound in butterfly pea flour that is an acid-base indicator, meaning that it changes color in reaction to changes in its pH. At neutral pH, it's blue, but if you lower its pH with something acidic like lime juice, it turns purple. Conversely, raising its pH with something like baking soda will turn it green, although that doesn't taste very good. For how simple this is, it's a really fun party trick and a great way to impress your guests. Now for a garnish. My wife and I had the absolute pleasure of going to Belize several years ago, and the bartenders where we stayed showed me how to make a really fun bug-inspired cocktail garnish. Take a large lime wedge and very carefully cut the peel off the flesh about halfway down. Cut 2 diagonal slits into the peel like so, cut off a little chunk of the flesh at the top, and then fold the peel back down. Cut a little slit on the bottom and place that on the edge of your Blackreach Blonde Margarita. I can't say it really resembles any glyphids, but it's pretty effective nonetheless. Now that I have something to sip on, let's talk about our Spiritfree version. If you order non-alcoholic cocktails at bars or restaurants, I would guess you've probably encountered a fair amount of cloyingly sweet drinks. As it turns out, making a Spirit-free cocktail is not as easy as it may seem. Let me explain. Take a daiquiri for example. This is 2 parts rum, 1 part lime juice, and 1 part simple syrup. To make this non-alcoholic, you now have to replace half of the entire recipe. This often gets replaced with soda or a fruit juice, which is just sugar on top of sugar, resulting in an extremely imbalanced drink. And although there's been a huge surge in non-alcoholic spirits, they're just not quite there yet in my opinion, and often cost as much and sometimes more than their alcoholic counterparts. Now in the case of the daiquiri, a more acidic juice like pineapple is a decent substitute, and that was actually the starting point for my Leaf Lover Fizz back in episode 1. But for our NA Blackreach Blonde, we're going to be using tea. Now I know for some of you, tea may be as groan-inducing as tequila, but hear me out. I don't love tea either, but for me, tea is kind of like jazz. I don't love it by itself, but I like it a lot when it's mixed with something. More importantly, tea can be a really great substitute for alcohol. For our NA Blackreach Blonde, I'm going to use jasmine tea, which is aromatic, floral, and slightly sweet. So following the instructions of the brand I bought, I'm going to heat 8 ounces of water to 175 degrees. To add a little body to my tea, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of sugar and a big pinch of salt to my pot. This part may seem a little odd, but we actually want our tea to be a little bitter and astringent, so I'm going to double the recommended steep time before bottling. Now that we have our tea, let's talk recipe. I built our non-alcoholic version more in the vein of a Paloma, which is usually made with tequila, lime, and grapefruit soda. I have the classic Jarritos grapefruit for mine, but you can use Squirt or Fresca if it's not available in your area. Grabbing my tins, I'm going to add 2 ounces of oversteeped jasmine tea, and half an ounce of butterfly pea flour syrup. Add some ice and shake. Then strain over fresh cubes in a tall glass. You probably noticed at this point that our NA Blackreach Blonde Paloma is more of a greenish blue hue, and that's because jasmine tea is slightly basic. If you remember from earlier, raising the pH balance of butterfly pea flour gives it a greenish hue, so now we're getting to see both sides of the reaction. Like before, I'm going to stir this slowly while adding an ounce of lime juice. Then I'll top this off with my Jarritos grapefruit soda. And garnish it with a little bug friend. This is super refreshing. It's a little tart, a little sweet, and the jasmine tea comes through just enough to add a floral note to our NA Blackreach Blonde Paloma. Now I don't have my Lloyd.gg page set up yet, but I do have recipe cards in the description below, and as always, if you try either of these, please let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and... damn it!
Use the flares, didn't know.
Hello?
Use the flares, didn't know. Light it.
Right. Carl?
No, I keep telling you, man, my name is Kyle.
Oh hey, it's Kyle from Delta Studios.
Hey everyone, I figure I'd properly introduce myself to you all. I create 3D printed replica props and prop kits from your favorite science fiction universes, with Deep Rock Galactic being one of my personal favorites. Everything I create has been redesigned by me digitally from scratch to help transfer the ideas to the real world. I've had a passion for creating props my entire life, and I'm extremely grateful that I've had the opportunity to share my props with people all over the world through my Etsy store for the past 3.5 years. I have plenty of things available that might interest you, with many more ideas on the way. You can find me at deltaprops.etsy.com. Something else I wanted to announce is I'll be doing a flare giveaway through the Did Know channel. We'll be going over the details and specifics in the next mainline video on the channel, so be sure to tune in for that. That's all I have for now. Rock and stone.
I'm super excited for this flare giveaway, so keep an eye out for my next video for details on how to enter. Big thank you to Kyle for stopping by, big thank you to you for watching, and as always, rock and stone, brothers and sisters.